Okay, part 3. Hopefully this can be a lightning round. I hope. I'm very exhausted. I don't want to do this anymore, but I started it. I gotta finish it. Need water first. Need water first, God. Podrick, Brienne Squire, Heart of Gold, good person. High tier. Polliver, don't remember what that is. Pyat Pri, we really don't know about him. He's creepy. He gives a side of magic that we don't really see a lot. Like, with the House of the Undying is so interesting because it like gives this glimpse onto this whole magical order and whole magical world that we just don't see again, and that makes the world so much bigger because it's like, oh, there's this creepy palace in this gated off city in the Far East that no one ever really goes into, and there's insane magical shit happening inside, and that makes it so interesting, but also a plot vehicle mid-tier. Pycelle, fuck Pycelle. God, what a spineless wimp. He just plays this like poor old man just to keep his ass safe. Screws everyone else over just to get himself ahead, keep himself in good eye. And like, people see right through his shit. Everyone sees right through his shit, but they still enable him and let him get away with it. I'm gonna say incredibly written shit here, honestly. Piper, don't remember what that is. Corn Halfhand, plot contrivance, low tier. He's just a plot vehicle for John's story. Quaithe. Quaithe is like one of my favorite characters in the entire series, entirely from headcanon. I think she's Alyssa Farman. That's my theory. As under Secret Identity. Right now in the book, she's entirely a plot vehicle for Daenerys. We know so little about her and her agenda. We know so little about what's going on. I think she's an agent for the true Lovecraftian magic that's happening behind the series. Great Empire of the Dawn shit. I think that she's the vehicle for getting that like weird lore, Lovecraftian ancient lore shit into the main story. I love this character, but we know so little. It's all about, like, I've written fan fiction about this character because I love her so much. Shouldn't be high tier. Shouldn't be, but I'm giving her high tier. Quentin Martell. Hubris in Hubris in incarnate. Low tier. Qyburn, absolute, similar to the Mountain, who he resurrects. He's like this complete sociopath that has no human remorse and is just allowed to operate in this order, in this Westerosi world order, because it benefits bad people. Like, bad people let him do bad shit and get away with his bad shit. It's like, it's very similar to how, like, you hear all the time about, like, in World War II, like, some Nazi commanders were absolute insane psychopaths, but they were allowed to, act out their psychopathy on Jewish prisoners during the Holocaust, because it was like, essentially they were enabled to carry out all of their psychopathic behavior because of a fucked up social structure. And that's where Qyburn falls in. He's just this absolute evil person where it's not even evil, he just has no concept of humanity. He just has no care for other people. He entirely operates on a existence of, ooh, my weird science experiments. I don't care how badly I torture people. I'm gonna say incredibly written shit tier. Rafford, don't know who that is. Let's get, you know what? Let's get all the don't know who that is characters out of here. Ricaro, don't know who that is. Resnek, no Resnek. Don't remember who that is. I remember the name now. Rhaegal, fuck that. Rickard Karstark, I think he's the one that kills the Lannister kid. Let's put him in low tier right now. Let's get him out of the way. Okay, we're gonna start Robert Aaron. Don't know who that is. Raleigh Duckfield, that's the guy. Istur the Fen. Okay, I'm just going through and like throwing out the characters that I don't know who they are. Shaga. Oh, Selyse. No, I know who Selyse is, of course. I just was confused because it didn't say Baratheon. Some people are going to be watching this and be like, no, how did you throw out that character? And I'll be like, I'm sorry. It's been a while since a reread. Okay, I think I know everyone. Will, no, I'll keep him. I know who that is. Okay, I think I know everyone else. Ramsay Bolton. Textbook definition of incredibly written shit tier, where he's just the worst and you hate him so much because of how well he's written. He is worse than Joffrey, in my opinion, because Joffrey was a kid. Joffrey was a kid that was raised poorly and because of that became the monster he was. But Ramsay, on the other hand, and I was talking about this duality when I was talking about Joffrey, Ramsay is an adult. Ramsay may have had an asshole of a father, but, you know, he may have been born out of a rape. That can contribute. But I think he had much more of an environment where he needs to be responsible for his actions. And he is just like... Oh, there's someone on my driveway? Okay, that scared the shit out of me. It was just a guy walking his dog across my driveway. I was like, who's at my house? But anyway, God, Ramsay Bolton. You know what? I'm done. that's who he is. Randall Tarley, fucking asshole, dick, low tier. Rattleshirt, plot vehicle. Renly Baratheon, interesting character. Another hubris character. Openly well-known gay character as well. I love LGBTQ representation in this series. Renly is very interesting because Stannis, at least you could say, okay, if Joffrey is a Lannister bastard, Stannis has the rightful claim to the throne. Renly just throws his hat in there because he wants it. He's just like spoiled brat, kind of, in a way. He just like, I don't want Stannis, my older brother, to be king, even though it's his right. I'm gonna enter the war, and creates another army for the war. And it's like, it's just like, if him and Stannis would have teamed up and their forces were to combine, they could have won. I wholeheartedly believe together they had enough men and enough strategists behind them. They could have won. But they became enemies, and that was part of their downfall. Mid-tier. Rhaegar Targaryen. Most fascinating character in the entire series behind Quaithe, in my opinion. Most fascinating, like, unknown character. It's so interesting because, like, he's a main character. He's the main character of the series. And he's dead before the series starts. And I love that shit. Where it's like, this character facilitated everything. This character was the character that made every single plot thread in this series. Just like Lyanna. He's like, you know, part of that whole Lyanna spectrum there. He orchestrated this whole thing. He knows what's really going on behind the scenes. The A Song of Ice and Prior Prophecy and everything. And he lived his life because of that prophecy. He did not expect to die there, though, in Robert's Rebellion. And that was what led his whole goal to crumble. And he is fascinating. And I think more than other historical figures, through other people's flashbacks and through other characters remembering him, we get a sense of his personality and his hubris. And I think that makes him able to ascend from mid-tier up to high tier. Rickon Stark, filler character. I don't think he should have even been in the story, to be honest. I think Bran should have just been the youngest. Honestly, poorly written shit tier. Robb Stark. Robb Stark's a very interesting character because you never get a sense of what he's thinking. You only see him through other people's eyes. And George has said he regrets making Robb not a POV character. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Robb is fascinating because you never get to see the true Robb. You only see what people want out of him. You see Catelyn's perspective, you see Jon's perspective, you see Theon's perspective, and you see like how these people view Robb Stark, but you never get inside the head of Robb Stark. And I think that's like a fascinating vehicle to give the life and death of a character. After all, he was a kid who fell in love and fucked up a war because of it. Similar to Rhaegar. And no one really talks about that parallel. I'm going to say mid-tier. Robert Arryn, asshole, bratty shit kid. This is Preston Jacobs' profile picture, which is why I'm laughing so hard. Low tier. Robert Baratheon, very interesting character because he is a moral failure. He started this whole rebellion to get back Lyanna, who he quote-unquote loved, who he barely knew. And Lyanna didn't love him. And he created this whole rebellion to win her back when odds are in the narrative she didn't want to be won back. And no one take the time to think, what does Lyanna want? It's only, you're betrothed to me, you're my woman. But he did lead a rebellion successfully against a corrupt regime and bring that regime out of power, which is an admirable thing. And that's why I think George is so great with these complex characters, where you really, you really don't know. You really don't know how to feel about them. And, yeah, he did lead us to this rebellion, but he did fucked up things along the rebellion, and as a king, he's a shitty king, a terrible father, an abusive husband, but there's good in there. And he overthrew a corrupt regime. Like, you have to have some good in you to do that. You have to have some moral integrity. Very interesting character. High tier. Robert Strong. Where did I put the Mountain? He'll go along. He is the Mountain. I don't know why Lady Stoneheart and him are like separate characters here. I think I put the Mountain in mid-tier. Where did I put the Mountain? Did I put the Mountain in high tier? Oh well, I can't find where I put the Mountain. He is the Mountain, so he goes there. Roderick Cassell. He's like, the head of Arms at Winterfell. Don't remember anything about his personality. Raleigh Duckfield. He's one of the guys in Youngcrest Party, traveling across Essos, now making their way to Westeros, I believe. If I remember correctly, in my head, he's just a guy. I'm going to say he's just a guy. Low tier. Don't remember his personality. Roose Bolton. Very interesting character, because he was one of the masterminds behind the Red Wedding. He's been the head of what has always been the second house behind the Starks in New York. In the north of Westeros, and he's always been in that like second position, and he uses this war to his advantage. He makes a backhand deal, goes against his commander, makes a backhand deal behind Catelyn's back with the Lannisters to wipe out Robb at the Red Wedding, and he gets the North in return. And very sinister motives, very evil deeds, but you sort of understand. You're like, okay, his house has always been cursed to be the second house. They've always had a fucked up reputation. They've always been like treated second class. Like, why can't I have this for once? Why did these Starks just automatically get this for being born a Stark? Why can't I have this for once? And you understand that, but he also raised Ramsay Bolton and enables Ramsay Bolton. So I'm going to say incredibly written shit tier. Terrible person, very well written. Rorge, one of the insane folks with Jaqen when you first meet him. Salladhor Saan. Don't really remember much about Salladhor Saan's personality. He's just like a, merchant dude that likes money. That's all I remember. Samwell Tarly. Oh, love Samwell. Very interesting character in that. Like, he is purely morally good, but he has failings in that he is not able, until he gains this ability by the end of like Storm of Swords, but like he's just not able to stand up for himself, and not able to be an advocate for himself. And he has very low self-esteem, heavily ingrained by his father, and but he eventually learns to overcome that. And now he's found a way to have his cake and eat it too on all fronts. He is still servicing the goals of the Night's Watch. He's still serving Jon, who he loves. He is getting to keep his relationship with Gilly, despite Night's Watch people not being allowed to marry. And he's going to the Citadel to become a maester, which is these are all the things he wanted, and he's getting it all. And I think if anyone deserves it in the series, it's him, because he's genuinely a good person. He may have some issues here and there, but he's genuinely great. High tier. This might need to be 4 parts, because I have to leave soon. So this might need to be divided into 4 parts. Sandor Clegane. Oh, love this character. The Hound is such a fascinating character. He's similar to Jaime in that he puts on this rugged exterior of being a terrible person, but there is good in him. He keeps Arya safe, he protects her, he acts like such an asshole to her, and he keeps trying to push this asshole persona, but he really deep down has a good heart. And I love characters like that. And he's very analogous to Jaime in a sense in that front. And I'm very happy to see that he got a happy ending. Unless he gets reintegrated into the story like they did in the show, he is most likely the identity of the Gravedigger, who's just this strange hooded figure at this peaceful little alcove of Westeros, religious little house, and he's just living a peaceful life. And I think he's what he deserves after going through so much trauma. High tier. Sansa Stark. I don't like Sansa. She's my least favorite POV. She's my least favorite POV character. She's very well written, I'll admit that, but I just hate her. I don't know. And, she just rubs me the wrong way every time. And people have said to me that this is a misogynistic stance, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Half of my favorite characters in this series are strong, powerful women. And, people tell me that's a misogynistic. It's not. I just don't like her character. I love Marjorie. I love Daenerys. I love Quaithe. There's so many characters that I love that are female in this series. It's not misogynistic. I just don't like her. And she's incredibly well written. I'll admit that. She just bothers me. So I'm putting her in incredibly well written shit tier. Shae, such a bitch. After everything Tyrion did for her, she turns against him in this trial. She sleeps with his father, of all people. Terrible, terrible human being. Incredibly written shit tier, though. Shireen Baratheon, just a charge. That's her personality. Shikaz no Kondak, I don't remember who that is. Stafford Lannister, don't remember who that is. Stannis, he's Stannis. He's the closest on the border of a good guy. He's doing a good cause. The throne is rightfully his. Behind Daenerys, of course. The throne is rightfully his, and he's doing good by fighting against the Lannister forces. But he's cold. He has no compassion. For his family, he lets Melisandre walk all over him. He is cold towards Davos, who is only trying to help him and only has his best interests in mind. And he's just a cold, cold person. He feels that he's been slighted a lot in life, and he just becomes a rock, essentially. He's just I am static, I am doing what I am doing, and that is it. I am not going to engage with anyone, I'm not going to love anyone, I am just here to exist and take the throne. And it's just does he even want the throne? Or no, it's his duty. He thinks it's his duty to get the throne. And it's sort of admirable in a way because, like, yeah, it's good that you're going to try to take it from a corrupt regime. But would your regime be that much better if you're just a rock and have no empathy for people? I don't think so, but incredibly well-written character. Steer, he's a thin guy. Another direwolf. Sarah Farrell. A lot of people think he's Jaqen. I don't. He's, a fun little character there. I'm gonna say mid-tier. Didn't do much harm. Tiana Merriweather, don't remember what that is. Oh my god, why am I blanking on who the Tattered Prince is? That's like an important character and I'm just blanking on who he is. God. The Waif. Plot vehicle. For Arya. Theon. Theon is fascinating. He starts off as this frat boy asshole Chad. The Starks were so much more of a family to him than his family ever was, but he's so easily manipulated because of his, like, wanting to be loved and impressed, and, like, his need to be, like, impressive to people. His need to be, like, for people to like him and not see him as, like, this weird outlier, He's so desperate for that he turns against the people that care for him and kills some of them, and, like, he's, like, it's fucked up, and he does terrible things, but boy, does he pay for it. The time he pops up again in Dance with Dragons, he's so broken and fucked up by Ramsay's abuse that you don't even know it's him right away. And that's genius. He's gotten so broken down and so messed up that he can only go up from here. He can only start to do good things. And he helps Jane Poole escape. He's going up to Stannis now, I believe. If I remember correctly. But, God, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, they do bad, they deserve to be punished, they get punished way harsher than they deserved, so now you want redemption for them, It's like, high tier. Thoros of Myr. I'm gonna say it, Thoros of Myr is a plot convenience. But he's an interesting plot convenience, mid-tier. Three-Eyed Crow. Three-Eyed Crow... I almost feel like we know too little to rank. He was Bloodraven, who is a character all in itself, a historical figure, but now he's a totally different character. His entire role in the world changes. His entire personality changes. I don't think he's even Bloodraven anymore. I think he's a sack of flesh that used to house Bloodraven, that now houses the Three-Eyed Crow entity. And that's what kind of happened to Bran in the show. I don't know if that will happen to him in the books, but that's what he's trying. And he's also, like, manipulating the whole plot behind the scenes. He's, manipulating Bran's dreams. Who knows? Maybe he had some influence on Bran being pushed. He probably sent the direwolves south of the wall. There's so much that he's moving around and manipulating behind the scenes. Incredibly interesting character, and I can't wait to learn more about him. High tier. Timett. I don't know. Tommen, Judge. Tormund, Giantsbane. He's kind of a comedic relief character. Funny enough, mid-tier. Trystane Martell. Doesn't really have a personality yet, at least. Tycho Nestoris. Oh, he's the head of the Iron Bank. Plot vehicle. Tyene Sand. Another Sand Snake. Tyrion. Do I even need to talk about Tyrion? I mean, if you're watching this video, you know exactly where I'm going to put Tyrion. Tysha. She's a backstory character for Tyrion. We don't know anything about her actual life and actual personality. She's just a thing that we perceive through Jaime and Tyrion. which is, it sucks. It sucks because I guess that's the whole point of that story, is that like it's so fucked up that we're only like that she went through all that shit and we just don't know if she was a willing participant. Probably most likely not. And it's just so sad, you know? But we also don't know anything about her, so she has to go in low tier. Tywin, high tier, incredibly interesting character. He's like, my dad's a weak-willed piece of shit. I'm gonna turn the Lannister family into the force to be reckoned with that it used to be. And he becomes like a fascist nightmare because of it. And he abuses his kids like hell, but he loves them. And I think King Aerys, working his hand to the king for King Aerys, and, knowing what Aerys did to his wife, I think that broke him. I think that he was a little more kinder. And it said that, like, his wife, Joanna, was the only person that can make him smile. It says that even in, like, World of Ice and Fire, I think. And he just got broken by it all, and he became this fascist nightmare. And he's still an incredible character, though. Vlau, plot vehicle. I hate to say it with a lot of these characters. There's a lot more plot vehicles than I remembered. Vermeer Sixskins, fucking despicable shit. The prologue character. I love that you get this prologue POV, and it's just an awful, despicable person. And you even get that vibe from his own POV. Incredibly written shit tier. Vargo Ho, another sociopathic monster. He's going in low tier, though. No, you know what? Fuck it. He's going in poorly written shit tier because he has no other personality than being a sociopathic monster. Selyse Florence, crotchety wife of Stannis. I mean, if you're the wife of Stannis, the partner of Stannis, you're gonna be crotchety. That's just how it be. I hate her though. Varys. He's Littlefinger, but on the other end. Littlefinger, he's like the other side of the duality of him and Littlefinger, where Littlefinger is manipulating everything behind the scenes, using people as puzzle pieces for his own particular gain and his own incel revenge fantasy. While Varys, on the other hand, is, I think, he's either trying to forward the Blackfyre agenda with Illyrio, or he just genuinely is operating in a way where he believes he is genuinely setting things up. He may be doing corrupt and fucked up things to get there, but I think he's genuinely setting things up to create a better country, to create a better realm, to create a better government. And I think he's, like, creating all and ensuing all this chaos, like Littlefinger is, not because he wants to get ahead himself, but because he wants to set things in motion for either a new just ruler to come in, young Griff. And the interesting thing about young Griff, we'll get to him, is, I'll do him now, actually. I'll cut ahead. Young Griff is so interesting because all his life he's raised to be a good king, a just ruler. He's treated to be kind to people. He's trained to be learned to people. And he's trained to just be a good person. He wholeheartedly believes he is Rhaegar's long-lost son. He is raised to believe that, even though he most likely is not, and he's most likely a Blackfyre descendant, and a tool to facilitate a Blackfyre rebellion without him even knowing. And it's so fascinating that he just, because, like, there's no way to be a fully good person when you're raised to be a king. It just doesn't work. If you're raised from birth to be a king, you're going to have some assholeless tendencies. And he's impatient. He gets frustrated way too easily. He rushes things. And he does things that are, like, not good characteristics of a ruler. But I think if you're raised your entire life to become a ruler, it's going to slip in there. I'm very interested to see if he conquers Westeros. Because it would be a very interesting way for the books to go. If he conquers King's Landing from Cersei, Cersei gets exiled back to Casterly Rock, and when Daenerys comes to invade, there is a Targaryen on the throne, quote unquote, allegedly. And people like this Targaryen on the throne, and this Targaryen is the rightful heir over you. So it's like it will throw such a wrench in Daenerys' story, and I'd love that. So I hope he does actually conquer the country, and that way when Daenerys comes in, it's like, what? Just throws a whole wrench in him. Victorian Greyjoy, fuck him. Piece of shit jock dick. He had such a fucked up childhood, though, and was abused heavily, possibly sexually abused by his brother. He just had such a rough life. But he still became an asshole, and he's just such a dumbass. Dragon. Viserys Targaryen. Viserys Targaryen's so interesting because he is a terrible psychopath of a person. He abuses his sister to hell, sexually, mentally, physically. He is an abusive, horrible person, but he was broken down. He was a kid when, like, Daenerys was a baby. He was a, like, kid when he was exiled and had to be on the run from Baratheon assassins. Like, if you're a kid, that's going to fuck you up so bad, constantly living on the run, constantly having people betray you, just when you think you're safe, constantly having to take care of your sister, especially when Willem Darry died. There was no adult protecting them. Like, it was just him protecting his sister alone until he found Illyrio. And, like, that has to break you. And that's why he's sympathetic. You know, he's a terrible human being, terrible person. He sells his sister off into slavery, essentially. Fucked up, horrible person, but you understand how he got there. You understand how he was broken down by his life, and you understand how he was carried up to that point. High tier, just for his writing. Walder Frey, pure evil. It's poorly written shit tier because there's no good in him at all. Nothing to discern good. And George talks about all the time. He loves writing morally gray characters. There's certain characters that are just not fucking morally gray in your series, and one of those is Walder Frey. Waymar Royce, he's one of, like, the guys... He's one of the guys in the prologue of the first book. Willis Tyrell. Don't really remember much about Willis, to be honest. I think... Was that who Sansa was betrothed to? I think. Can't really remember too well. I'm going to say low tier. Not really a memorable character. Wyman Maranduli, I'm going to put him mid-tier because he hasn't really done... He's, like, hinting at some of the stuff he's going to start to do in the Grand Northern Conspiracy, but he hasn't really done it yet. So I'm waiting for him to become... either stay in mid-tier, become lower or higher when I read The Winds of Winter, when it eventually comes out. Zara's own Daxus. Asshole. Will, another one of those characters from the prologue. Yasin Okagiz? I don't know who the fuck that is. I'm sorry. Ygritte, amazing character. High tier. Partially a plot vehicle for Jon, but she is such an interesting character in her own right. Like, raised and becoming rough by this wildling culture, but there's still humanity in there. She still falls in love with, like, Jon and not a Chad. Like, she falls in love with, like, a genuinely good person, and, like, you know, she struggles. She does struggle just as Jon struggles, whether she wants to be with him. She wishes she could stay in that cave. One of the best lines in the books. You know, she struggles. And I think with her culture versus who she loves. And that's such a fascinating element that this series does so well. Jan Royce, don't remember who that is. Yoren, I'm going to say mid-tier. Just because, like, he doesn't do much in the story, but he is good. He's a good guy. You know, he does the ultimate favor for Ned, where he protects his daughter, knowing, like, for his essentially leader, because he's the Night's Watch commander, and Ned is the ruler of the North. The same here. Bone Mar. Oh, now we're back at the characters that I don't remember who they are. Arain Waters. I'm gonna feel. You know what? Let me look them up, because I'm gonna feel so dumb because I know these names so well, and I just can't. It's just blanking on who they are. Bowen Marsh. Oh, he's just a guy that works at Castle Black. What does he do in the story? Yeah, he's just... I'm going to put low tier. Arain Waters. That's... I'm gonna feel so dumb when I looked up who Arain Waters is. Bastard of Driftmark. She's a bastard of House Valerion. His appearance were... Oh, it's a guy. Arain is... That's interesting. Arain is a very, like, typically female name. I don't remember what he does at all. I'm gonna say who. I don't remember the story. And there you have it. We have ranked all of the A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, this might be every character. I want to say there's, like, more. There is more, probably. But, like, this is insane. like, this took 3 parts. I thought it was going to be 1 video. But we did it. We ranked every single character. Yeah, let me know if you agree with me, especially in my best of all fiction tier and my high tiers. Obviously, feel free to comment your thoughts on any of the tiers, actually, any of the characters. You want to prop them up, if you want to argue that they're lower, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, I'm very interested. I'm not going to be argumentative at all. I'm just very interested to hear your takes. So, yeah, that about wraps up this video. Thanks, guys, for watching.